I just finished up a nice little 60-mile shakedown hike in preparation for the Pacific Crest Trail. Really trying to prepare as best I can for that hike and get going. Now, I asked you guys over on Instagram to send me some questions for this Q&A, and you guys came through with a lot of great ones. If you're not following me on Instagram, go check me out over there at Jupiter Hikes. That is going to be the most consistent place that I will be updating with photos, what's going on while I'm out on the PCT, and just all sorts of stuff. So check me out on Instagram. Now, if you have questions for the next Q&A, I'm sure I'll wind up doing a couple more before I leave for the PCT. Leave them in the comments below, and that is where I'll get the questions for the next one. This old journeyer asks, how do you balance what you eat on trail and off trail to keep yourself in strong hiker health? Sometimes I don't. This is something I've struggled with in the past, just coming home from a trail and, being so used to eating 5,000 to like 7,000 calories a day, and then you certainly can't do that in normal life when you're not hiking 30 miles every single day. So it's hard. It's hard to bring that back, down to a more normal quantity of food. What has personally really helped me, though, is when I come home to, not try and necessarily limit myself on the amount of food that I'm eating, but instead try and change the food that I'm eating to healthier foods. So instead of coming home and just eating a ton of pizza, a ton of ice cream and candy and whatever else, I want to come home and I want to eat a lot of fruits and a lot of vegetables. So that way I'm still kind of satisfying the quantity aspect, but I'm also getting less calories, and whole foods in general are going to fill me up faster. So that is personally what has really helped me. Greg Bakken asks, who is a hiker that I look up to? There are so many hikers that I've looked up to over the years, more than I could certainly mention. If you don't know Scott Williamson, he does not have social media, he does not have a website, but Scott has hiked the PCT more than 11 times, and we're talking through hikes. Scott has set a ton of records on the Pacific Crest Trail, speed records we're talking. He has yo-yoed the PCT twice. Scott has also hiked the Florida Trail, the Appalachian Trail, the Continental Divide Trail, and I'm sure many others. And just in general, he seems like a very down-to-earth and very friendly person. I think one of the most inspiring things about Scott is just his passion for the trail, and just the fact that he was out there every single year, year after year, hiking the PCT. You don't hike the PCT 11 times without a lot of passion for it. So, Connor asks, how does content creation change your day-to-day routine on a long-distance trail? It changes it in a lot of ways, both negatively and positively, but definitely much more so positively. Negatively in the fact that I have to carry a camera that, if I wasn't creating these videos, then I would save a lot of weight, camera and batteries, and, I have to be worried about protecting that camera and making sure it's not getting wet. I have to make sure my camera is charged so that I can continue to film these videos and make these videos and stuff. So, those would be the negative aspects, but then in the positive way is every single day it gives me something to focus on and think about, and it gives me something to look forward to in, how can I make the best video that I could make? How can I portray this trail in the best possible way? How can I portray what I'm feeling in the best possible way? That's stuff I enjoy doing, so it's not like it's a burden to do so. Van asks, what do you miss most while out on a through hike? I would say for many, many years, the things I've missed most, obviously, friends, but, I always miss my bicycle. I miss riding a bike, and I think it's just because, when you're walking and you're hiking every day, you're traveling at that same pace of 2.5 miles per hour. Just the thought of riding a bike and, traveling at that faster speed of 16 miles an hour or whatever, having the wind blow through my lack of hair, it's always something I think about, and I always want to have a bike on a through hike. But I can tell you what I'm going to be missing out on the PCT this year. For those who don't know, I got into disc golf very heavily in 2020, and I play pretty much as often as I can. And especially since I travel so much, it's been so fun to visit different courses across the country. If you're unfamiliar, disc golf is the rules of golf, but playing with a frisbee. I'm going to be missing disc golf. I just love playing this game so much. It is such a great hobby. It's so wonderful to get outside and play this game. And I've met a lot of wonderful people through the different disc golf communities, and I'm really going to be missing it when I'm out on trail. So, Single Speed asks, tips for trail photography and video shooting while on a thru hike. I certainly have a lot of thoughts on this and advice on, maybe how to make better videos or things that have helped me up my own video making game. But there's a couple things that come to mind immediately. The first being, you can never have too much B-roll. So, in other words, film everything. Film yourself, film the landscapes, film the bugs, film the plants, film the flowers, film everything. You can never have too much, because when you go to edit that video, then you have so many more clips and so much more video to choose from to be able to tell your story with. So film everything. And my second piece of advice would be, when you do go to film something, always ask yourself, how can I make this shot better? So film everything and always ask yourself how you can make the shot better. ALMC asks, do you only wear zero drop shoes, and did my feet and legs take time to get to used to them? I think I said that wrong. I'm sorry. But yeah, I personally only wear zero drop shoes. But you are very correct in thinking that it does take time getting used to them. The problem with this is most shoes have more cushion in the heel, and that is what most people are used to. So your foot is going to be at a slight angle in the shoe. When you go to a zero drop shoe and your foot is lowering, what happens is your calf muscles and your leg muscles are elongating and stretching. So someone who goes from a normal shoe to a zero drop shoe too quickly can actually really injure themselves. So if you wear just normal shoes, but you've heard great things about ultras per se, really take your time getting used to the zero drop shoe. At best, you're gonna be sore. It's gonna take time. At worst, you're gonna get injured. So take your time. Beacon asks, do you still hike with trekking poles? If not, why? Honestly, I've never really hiked with trekking poles. I hiked with trekking poles in 2012, but I feel like I was mostly using them because my backpack was so heavy that without the poles, I wasn't really stable without them. As I started to lighten my pack weight further, I just kind of stopped using them. And now certainly I think my base weight for the PCT is going to be around 6.5 pounds or something. The trekking poles are definitely still very positive, and there's a lot of people, regardless of pack weight, people with 5-pound packs that still love trekking poles, but for me, I've just never really gotten into them. So I recommend trekking poles to everyone because they do have so many benefits, but I just personally I've never really gotten around with them. Maybe at some point I'll do a larger video where I can think more deeply on that topic of both why I don't use them, but also why they are so beneficial, because I think trekking poles are a great topic for hiking. Small Fry asks, how do you deal with putting your life on pause for 5 months? In a lot of ways, I don't really feel like I am personally putting my life on pause, because I treat thru hikes as, I'm going out there for a certain amount of time, whether that is a week or whether that is multiple months, to better myself, to work on myself, to really think about what I can improve in my life. Almost every single day of a thru hike, I have multiple lists going of, different hobbies I want to get into, different things that I want to be better at. A thru hike is a place that I can go to really give myself the space and the time to think about that stuff more deeply, and then come home with a renewed sense of energy in regards to both the work that I'm doing, but also a lot of my own personal things. So you are putting your life on hold, but at the same time, I don't go out and do a thru hike to escape my life per se. I go out and do a thru hike to try and better my life in many ways. Stephanie Lynn asks, are there any sections of the PCT that I'm concerned about? I am most concerned about the beginning. I'm concerned about the heat. I'm concerned about the lack of water. I'm concerned about mostly just starting a fresh new through hike, because I know that if something is going to go wrong, it's almost certainly going to happen in the beginning. So I am definitely concerned about the beginning, and I'm trying to plan and prepare as best I can, physically and also with my gear and just everything. I'm trying to plan and prepare as best I can so that I can be happy and comfortable in the beginning so that I get to enjoy the later parts of the through hike. Josh asks, what advice do I have for a first-time through hiker? Great question. I feel like I've had very similar advice for many years, and that is to have fun with it. If you aren't having fun, ask yourself, why? What is it that isn't fun? And how can you change? How can you make it more fun? So let's say you're carrying a very lightweight backpack, and it's just not that fun to be that minimal for you. Try adding in that paperback book, or adding in a frisbee that you can throw in between you and your friends. Try adding in a little yo-yo that you can play with at camp or something. See what could be more fun by adding in more weight, or maybe you're the opposite and you're carrying a lot of weight. And it's just not fun to carry that 40, 50-pound pack or something. See what you can cut down and see if that's more fun for you. Maybe going into towns more frequently is more fun for you. Maybe hiking solo, or maybe hiking in a group is more fun. So when you are out there, don't be afraid to change, and always try and keep it fun. KJR asks, will you post videos from the trail or after the trail? This is a great question, one that I've been meaning to address. I will be posting videos from the trail, but I will be doing something a little bit different. I want to film updates on this is where I'm at. I want to film updates on here's my campsite and this is why I chose this campsite, and check out how beautiful it is or whatever. I want to be in a town and film a video on this is my food and my resupply for the next stretch. I want to halfway through the trail maybe do like a gear update or stuff like that. I want to save the vlog stuff until after the trail, when I can come home to my computer and really compile and put together a well-produced video series, like a 5-part series on the Pacific Crest Trail. I will be posting videos from the trail, and I will also be posting videos after the trail, of course. So a little bit of both. Not Sorry Reese asks, how do you keep a positive mindset while doing long-distance hikes? This is a great question, because I think, in many ways, I don't always keep a positive mindset on these hikes, and I think in a lot of ways it's good to have those lows and those hard times, because in one way it makes the highs so much grander and so much greater. In other ways, I think going through those low moments and finding the strength to push through them is some of the most rewarding possible times I've ever had on through hikes. But also, how do I push through those? How do I keep a positive mental attitude? Sometimes it's distracting myself, filming these videos and having that to focus on, and always remembering that tomorrow is another day, tomorrow will be different. So it's definitely something to play with, and everyone's different, so it's hard to answer this question for you, but I think it's good both to have the really low moments and to have those really high moments. Austin asks, how often on the Appalachian Trail will someone have to hitchhike or shuttle somewhere for a resupply? Hitchhike into a town for a resupply. On the Appalachian Trail and on the Pacific Crest Trail, and you can do this on the Arizona Trail, the Florida Trail, and many, many, many trails out there, you don't have to hitchhike at all. My plan going into the Appalachian Trail wasn't to hitchhike once. And looking at the PCT this year, I feel like if I really didn't want to, I wouldn't have to hitchhike once, I wouldn't have to get in a shuttle, I wouldn't have to get in a vehicle for the entire duration if I didn't want to. But I will say that that type of hike would not be fun for most people, because it's going to take a lot more planning to figure out where you're going to be resupplying so you can avoid these rides and shuttles and hitches. Oftentimes you're going to have to carry a little bit more food than everyone else because you're going to be skipping a town that everyone else is going to. Sometimes you may have to hike faster to make those miles more manageable. You know, sometimes it involves just sending a package to a place that other people maybe hadn't considered, whether that's a gift shop or a resort, or maybe a visitor center, or a hostel near trail, or sometimes even gas stations that would accept a package. Like there's a lot of ways to kind of play around with that. But if you don't want to hitchhike, if you don't want to get in a single vehicle, I don't think you have to. But it would be a lot easier if you did. And that's the problem. I think a lot of people that think they would want that, they would get out onto the thru hike and they would realize so fast that they wasted all their time planning a trip like that, when hitchhiking is both really easy and mostly very safe, when all of their friends are going into that town and, you know, they don't have to go into that town because they spent their money and they shipped a package worth of food to a place that's just up the road or something. That was actually the final question there. Didn't even realize. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you have a question for the next Q&A I film, please leave it down in the comments below. If I missed your question in this one, I'm so sorry. I got a bunch of them and I just can't answer every single one in every video, but I will try my best to get to it next time. So if you liked watching this video, please give me a little thumbs up. If you want to see more content like this, videos about hiking, through hiking. I mean, I'm about to set off on the Pacific Crest Trail soon. Subscribe to this channel, and thank you guys. I will see you in the next video.